So I'm Dr. Heather Greenhalgh Spencer, and my role is Head of Curriculum and Development for Top of the Hill Girls School. So I'm most excited about the fact that this is a girls-only school. When I was very young, when I was even in primary school, I noticed that there were differences between the way teachers would treat girls and the way teachers would treat boys. And that engendered a curiosity in me that kind of stuck with me through my education. And I started even through my master's program really focusing on what is it that we can do to help girls get into STEM, what is it that we can do to help girls take on more entrepreneurial roles. And then when I got into my doctoral program, I had the opportunity to do more with girls and women's education in developing nations. So I was part of a larger scale project in several different countries that looked at girls and women's education. And that really started a passion in me to be able to kind of think about ways that we can make school more accessible, that we can close that schooling gap, we can close the wage gap, we can close the opportunity gap. And so when Mary started telling me about her idea for Top of the Hill Girls School, I was really excited about it. I thought that would be really fabulous, and it would be a way that I could use some of my expertise and my training in a way that would still allow her to create the infrastructure that she's trying to create within Kenya, not only for girls who will graduate from that school and go on to start businesses, but also for people in the area who want to become better teachers. My training is in education, and so being able to be a part of something to develop curriculum that will really help these girls meet the needs of their communities, as well as kind of create a grow your own type of climate where we're creating the future teachers who will also be a part of this school, that was really exciting to me. So I would say that there are key differences in both the curriculum and in the pedagogy. So the curriculum is a competency-based curriculum. So that means that rather than focusing on, have you memorized the following dates, or do you know the difference between an acid and a base, it's really functional. It's what kind of skills do you have? What kind of mindsets do you have? Are you able to understand content, not just from a memorization standpoint, but are you able to use it to solve real problems, to create new solutions? And so by focusing on what can you do with what you know, which is the competency-based, I feel like that better prepares people to really go out into the world after they've graduated. So I think that's one of the things that really sets the curriculum apart. As far as the pedagogy, I think a lot of schools out there still focus on the rote memorization. They get information, the student memorizes it, and then they have to put it down on a test. We know from research, though, that actually one of the better ways to teach is through projects, through inquiry-based. So you start off asking a question, and then you find answers to those questions, through apprenticeship and mentoring, and then also through personalized education. We really want to create pathways where students can learn at their own pace, through their own modalities, really leveraging their own strengths and skills to be able to learn new material, learn new skills that then they can take into the community. So both the curriculum as a competency-based curriculum and the pedagogy as a personalized, project-based, inquiry-based pedagogy, those are different than I think you'd see in most educational spaces. So I think two things happen. Number one, I think that they are ready to take on a job that helps them make money, feel good about themselves, give back to their community. So whether that's starting a new business, being able to use the apprenticeship that they'll have had as part of the schooling process to go right into a firm or another job. So that real functional skill set is one of the things that I think that the girls who graduate from this school will have. The other thing is, because so much of the school is focused on going out into the community, using the expertise of the community, addressing the needs of the community, hopefully they will also be really embedded in the community that is around that area. And so I think that in addition to allowing that community base to kind of feed their passion and feed maybe what their next steps are as far as creating a business or finding a job, I feel like it also creates a support system that they can hold on to for a long time. We know that when you feel like you're part of a community who cares about whether or not you succeed, that you're more likely to succeed. So having that schooling experience that is really dedicated to being part of the community, having the community come into the school, I think we're really kind of creating that support structure that will help these girls.
Teach.
So As I mentioned, the pedagogy will be very different. The ways that we teach in this school will be very different because it won't be memorization. It will be about projects, about asking questions, about personalization. So the types of teachers that come to this school will need to be able to have those skills. They'll also be able to, although they'll need to be able to understand data so that they can look at the individual needs of a student and be able to pivot instruction to those needs while still having that student, again, learn the content that they need, be part of those projects, be able to answer those questions. And so for sure we'll have to create a better way of understanding which teachers can do that sort of thing. But honestly, one of the things that is also exciting to me about the Top of the Hill project is that we'll also be training teachers. So it's not just, hey, come in off the street and let's hope you do well. It's come in and let us show you how to do these pedagogical strategies. Let us show you how to teach in this way. And then the hope is not just to create a business model where we keep bringing teachers in to learn the method, but that we teach the teachers who can then teach other teachers. So the goal is to create teacher leaders who can then teach others to do this sort of thing. Sure. So I think Mary's really prescient in her desire to have girls that she knows have passed the test, they're ready, they are able to do well in a schooling system, but sometimes it's just they don't have the funds, or they live too far away to go to a rigorous school, or they have these barriers that get in the way of their going to finish their education. And Top of the Hill, really the mission is to find ways to help those girls that will do well if they only had a couple of those barriers removed. That's the job of Top of the Hill, to remove those barriers. One of the African proverbs that is out there, right, is that if you educate a man, you educate an individual. If you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And we see that in the research as well. Women are much more likely to use their education to start businesses, to build their community, and to teach their children. And so that's so key, and one of the reasons why we really are focusing on girls. So the girls who leave this school, regardless of whether they're coming from someplace that's extraordinarily rural, or even something that's more of a city environment, but that they just don't have the funds to go to any of the other schools, these will be girls that will be able to leave the school and transform their communities and transform their families with the education that they've been able to receive at Top of the Hill. The best way to close the GDP gap, the best way to close the opportunity gap, the best way to help women become more equal in a society is to provide them education. So I'm glad we're doing that.
Awesome. Let me check one thing and then